What's good? What's good? This is the Double Standard with
Mayhem
and
Danny Ocean.
Y'all don't know who y'all are? This is DC, your host. This is our first episode. These dudes obviously don't we just literally came up with our names.
That is not true.
So we thank y'all for coming through. This is like our relationship type deal where we just talk about, male-female relationship issues, whatever. This is actually spearheaded by Mr. Danny Ocean.
Thank you. AKA Mr. 10%, AKA Do You Need an Agent?
Right, because that's what we do.
Do you want to throw in some hashtags? Hashtag call me.
So I mean, just get the breakdown. Why'd you feel like it was necessary for us to come together like this?
Because these two brothers over here have always had some very interesting conversations with me, and I figured, why don't we put this on the radio and see if people respond to it, and then one day, hopefully, I buy a Ferrari. These are the thoughts that go through my mind.
So you seeing dollar signs immediately,
Of course not. I'm trying to educate the masses, of course. I'm trying to put out a good product. That is my number one priority. If a Ferrari happens to come as a result,
right.
I can live with that.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
I respect that. I
just want to know, do you have a Ferrari in mind?
Yeah, do you have one?
Let's not get the details, okay? It may or may not be a listing that's saved on my computer. Don't worry about this. Let's cross that bridge when we get there.
So you trying to be real hood rich over here. All right. So, I mean, let's get right into it, man. Because, obviously, the biggest story right now, that Mimi sex tape. Let's break this down. Because we talking shower rods. That's hashtag shower rods. Did y'all see the preview?
The preview was awesome. Let me tell you. First of all, her name should be Mimi Shower Rod, whatever her last name is, because you gotta have a nickname that stands out. And she owned it. Right now, she's putting Beyonce to shame. Mm-hmm. The other guy, I'm still gonna call him Master Splinter. That's just his face. It just says it all. Mm-hmm. But the preview just makes you just want to see it. Did you see that preview? And they even looped it again. It was better the second time around.
No, I'm gonna honestly say I may or may not have seen pornography in my life, and as far as trailers go, it was up there.
Wait, can I just stop? Have we ever seen a trailer for pornography?
You know what? No, the Kim K, she had a trailer, didn't she? I think that. Yeah, Vivid though. Because Vivid, that whole production.
Oh yeah, because even though it was leaked, they had a pretty big rollout. But let's not talk about that.
When someday
I have a percentage on that tape, but let's not talk about that.
All right, so so what are your thoughts on the sex tape? I've been hearing a lot of conflicting things as far as she shouldn't have done it. It's attention whoring. It's all manner of things. What y'all feel on what's your perspective on it?
My first thought, honestly, was just I don't know who these people are.
Right.
It was something that when it came out, my news feed, which is supposed to be PC, just became wild. Just Instagram and Facebook became no-go zones as boom, it was everywhere. Yeah. My second thought is wondering I always think back to this when these sort of things happen, it's always interesting how only certain types of women get to progress past this moment. So how we know Kim Kardashian now, how we know Paris Hilton, how we know Pamela Anderson, but everyone else on the other side of the ambient light spectrum is not remembered as fondly or positively or has a career post these events happening.
So this is a race thing. Why is it a race thing?
I don't know, man. Think about it. Think about any time this has ever happened. Whether it be with Eve, that happened a few years ago. Mm-hmm. Whether
I didn't even really fully get it.
Whether with Lawrence Fishburne's daughter, who did this specifically to get on. It seems that when certain groups do it, the reaction is usually you're all negative associations when it comes to being sexually promiscuous, but it's never a situation of okay, now you can progress past this and host your own reality show.
Right.
Go to awards banquets. Sit front row at the Grammys. These sort of things.
I mean, do you feel like black people are harder on her? And it's really her. It's not even ain't nobody talking about Nico. Everybody talking about her.
Yeah.
I'm hearing she's a whore, and the biggest thing I hear is what about her daughter? Didn't she think about her daughter? This is embarrassing for us, for them, blah, blah, blah. But is that even relevant? Because, she's on a reality show, and it's it's the bottom of the barrel reality show, too. Are we even talking about this right now?
When I first saw it, I honestly thought, first of all, Mimi, I'm very happy that you are a female, because sometimes on the show, I watched the show a little bit. It did not. I was suspicious. That you were a man trying to make it out there. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure. Listen, so that was one. I only saw the preview. I didn't see the whole tape. The second thing is like, all right, well, she did it for attention. And we all know that's what happens. You lose your momentum. Maybe you're no longer on the show. You're not as relevant. What do? Bam, something sexy, something trendy, something nude, you know? So is it a bad thing that she did? I mean, let's look at somebody like Kevin Steffens, also known as Superhead. You know, she's got family. Can you imagine the kids at school making fun of her children? Like, oh, your mom is Superhead. My dad wants her at a show. You know what I'm saying? My dad probably messed with. You know, these guys don't think ahead. They really don't. Is it a bad thing? Well, she's a woman. Right. That's where it kind of comes into play. See, if Stevie J had released the audio, the videotape, it would have been fine. It'd been like, he's a dick, he's a douche, whatever, and going about his way. It
would have been a problem, right?
It would have been a man thing. Let's call it a man thing.
Right. So that double standard. You know, that's what we talk about there, right?
Yeah. But Stevie J actually has had a sex tape. He wasn't the one with Eve. He was the one that released that.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers that.
That's the point, though. Like, remember, even when I said it in the first place, like the first person that comes to mind is Eve and not the other person participating in it. And it's truly double standard. Like, there's no other way to describe it.
So, I mean, you know, I heard like Charlamagne and other people. That is true. That is true. I mean, I've heard people talk about it, and it all comes down to, Mimi making a mistake. Like, she didn't need the publicity. Like, she needed to be focused on other things in her life. But is that our place? Like, you know, I mean, because sex sells in America. Like, it's legal to sell sex. It may not be moral to your standards, but at the end of the day, she's already on a reality show. Yeah. She's making money doing, like, you know, ridiculous things. Is it that much further of a step for her to just make this sex tape? Because, I mean, sex is kind of goes hand in hand with this salacious sort of media stuff. So I don't see it as that big of a stretch. I don't see a problem with it. Like, you know, she's bringing viewers to the show. She want a more prominent role in the show. She want a spin-off for her own reality show. She want merchandise and all the other stuff. That might come to her.
I think it's probably just the worst, because right now, like, Mimi, we all know, has nothing to offer as an artist. Honestly, let's be real. She has nothing to offer as an artist.
Well, I mean, that's Kim K.
Okay, but I don't think she has that mindset. First of all, like, she released a sex tape so early in the game. Okay, but fine. Kim K may have done that as well. What else does Mimi have to go with at this point in time? I personally feel like nothing, honestly. And you know what? There are other ways to do it. And you know, with women, it's like, once you're labeled as a label, I'll just say as a label, not that word, you know, it's hard to kind of come back from that. You know, Marilyn Monroe, we love her to death, but you know what she was?
We love her to death.
We love her to death. A lot of females. Maybe not you. I understand.
You know.
Right, but that's my.
The lady's an icon. Come on, just say it out loud. You can say it. It's true.
She's an icon, but look what she did.
Hey,
if you don't know, look it up. You know, not you, of course, but I'm just saying. Right. They're out there. You know, look up what she did and who she's been around and how she got places. You know.
But she's another example of what I was saying originally, though. Mm-hmm. Look at what she did specifically. Yes, she was in the first issue of Hugh Hefner's, you know, now famous Playboy magazine. She was also at a White House dinner. Like, do you think Mimi is going to get into the Obama White House after this incident happened?
You know,
like, not never. But Kim K could stand a chance of getting into the Obama White House, and that's a very odd comparison, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not. My issue isn't that there shouldn't be a double standard.
Can Kim K get to the White House though? Wait a minute.
You don't think Kim K get in the White House?
Nah, man.
Kim K can. Not Kanye. Not Kanye.
I mean, Obama ain't feeling you, but Kim K in the White House? Nah, y'all giving Kim K too much credit.
Kim K's already been to the White House. She's been to the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Did she really?
Yes, she has. She was special invite. See what I mean? She can get into White House events.
I mean, I guess.
Mimi ain't getting into, like, Bill de Blasio's dinner and breakfast. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true.
This is totally not true, but I heard they won't even let her in, like, Build a Bear workshop.
All right. Let's switch it up a little bit. Another thing we were talking about was just sort of like power relationships, you know, like sort of the dynamics in relationships and how they're set up. And like one of the biggest, most recurring things, because this is 2014, you know, and, you know, things have changed. And, you know, it's important to acknowledge that. So is it still an issue of like sort of men feeling inadequate? Let's go right to when women make more money. Let's touch on that right there.
I mean, if you think about it, recent trends, right? So we had the recession. Some people actually call it a man session because a lot more men lost work than women because of the jobs that were hard hit. construction, finance tend to be male-heavy fields. So that's also going along with a trend of a lot more women being the head of the household. So the question is then, yes, we're changing as a society. Women are becoming equal, and in some cases, actually more successful, as there's more women in grad school than there are men, and it's by a large margin. And when you break it down to races, it looks like the numbers start to skew crazy when it comes to like Black and Latino folks. So the question is now, can you be a power couple without powerful resentment? Powerful resentment.
Like what?
Like everyone sees, the celebrity example of Beyonce and Jay-Z. They're all successful. That's cool. That's great. They're all making millions. But when it comes down to the small level, when you're stuck in your job, feeling out of place, and your wife is just making moves all the time, can you, as a man, become okay with that and see that as your success as well? Especially if you're frustrated at where you want to be and you're an ambitious person, or does that start to build resentment?
I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because for me personally, you don't conflate the two. Like, a woman's success should have, it should be independent of your own success. Everybody's their own person, and if you're in a relationship, it's a partnership.
Yeah.
So it really shouldn't be, all right, well, you're in this role and blah 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 blah. I feel like when it comes to economics, particularly, at this point in time, if a woman is making more, that's absolutely, you shouldn't feel threatened by that. That speaks more to your insecurity. If a woman is making more money, and that's an issue for you. Because, at the end of the day, we all do different things. And we all should be able to have a dialogue and not feel like there's an issue with that.
I know, I've heard this argument before, and I respect that. I agree with it, actually. Not just want that to state. But at the same time, there is still traditional values being held by a lot of people, whether they want to acknowledge it or not. And that includes some women who don't want to deal with a guy that is not on their level. And I don't mean like some guy that's like super wealthy or super rich. Like, if you were a female lawyer, are you necessarily going to talk to a guy that's doing sanitation?
No, I've heard women not have an issue with that. Yeah, I feel like that, even that perspective has shifted. Like, where, before I've heard, I won't talk to this guy, he's not on my level, but I feel like, things are different now. Everybody's kind of open to different things. So that woman, she might date the sanitation worker.
Well, that kind of goes back to like the whole independent woman thing. First of all, if a woman's making more money than me, go ahead, you do all the work. I'm gonna stay home today and relax. You go ahead and pay the bills. I'll even, maybe I'll cook some dinner. But it goes back to the whole independent theory of women being independent and being able to do the same thing a man can do, if not better, which is fine. Modern age thinking allows me as a man to accept that. If I'm traditional, then it's a big thing. Now, the whole point is, how do I keep my authority in the house? Because any man who's kind of like not making as much money as the female in the house starts to feel like power slipping away. Because you might get into an argument. She's like, "Well, I make more money than you. I should be able to make decisions anyway." No man wants to deal with that.
Well, now you're talking about, roles of authority. Like, you feel there should be certain roles that you have in a household.
I think it all comes down to roles of authority, because you know what? I feel like everybody has their place in a relationship, and that's what makes a good relationship work. Yeah, you may be making more money than him, but you allow him to assume authority because it's best for the relationship, even though you may have shared power. Or maybe you may have more power than him. For instance, I dated a nurse. A nurse is quick to tell you, listen, I make more money than you. And chances are she may be right. Damn. But that doesn't mean that you're a better person. Doesn't mean you're smarter than me. Doesn't mean that you're more authoritative. But we all play our roles.
Okay.
And I think, ironically, for that relationship, she was bank, I was lender, if you will.
All right. So in that situation where
I can't play.
In that situation where she's more successful, where do you find, where would you find an issue? Like, what would make you feel uncomfortable?
If I was still with the nurse, let's say today, my issue would be with her recognizing that just because she makes more money doesn't mean she's the authoritative figure in the house. I believe the authoritative figure is somebody who's a little bit more well-known and who's a little bit well-minded and even exposed to certain sense to make decisions. Like, for instance, if I know how to put up a man thing, a TV, but also I can tell you about what weave to wear, maybe I should be included in most, if not all, decisions. Because I know a little bit more, and I know.
You want to tell her what weave to wear?
I'd like to date girls without weave, but that's what I'm saying. Weave.
Don't be saying that into the mic while the record button is on.
All right. So
weave is inevitable.
What about equality? The idea of equality under in the household.
I'm all for that as well. Equality is always good. Show me what you know, and I'll show you what I know. Then we go from there.
So how about looking at things as a partnership as opposed to, okay, well, I need to have the authority because I'm a man? Is that like? Like how do you sort of
I believe there's a facade to that. Okay. I believe we say it's a partnership, but in actuality, somebody has, if not a little bit more, maybe a lot more power. It just seems like it's a partnership.
Okay.
Or it could be a partnership, and people have power in different segments of the relationship. Like one person may have more money in financial saying, another person may have more direction, like decision making, like terms of dealing with family and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, we gonna get a lot of feedback from this, like
especially that weed part. Why did you say that, bro?
I mean,
it's my preference. It doesn't make it right. It's not written in the Bible.
You wasn't even talking about that.
I'm not wear weed.
For the record, Danny Ocean and DC got no comment.
Yeah, I plead the fifth over here, brother. But I mean, my perspective is that I definitely I believe in the concept of a relationship being a partnership and everybody sort of understanding each other. And if that means that we fall within gender roles for certain things, I'm okay with that. And I feel like my partner would be okay with that as well.
I feel like you're just saying this to be on the air. I'm gonna be real with you. I believe that although we've talked a good game for the years that we've been, I want a woman to be independent, a woman wants to be this to that, it all comes down to somewhat traditional values. Like, even though a woman could be making much more money and doing big moves just like a man, she still wants a man to be a man. And what's being a man? Taking control of the house, making sure the bills are paid, making sure the family, not just her, the family are making the right moves. So then, if that's the case, it's not really an equal partnership. It's more like, okay, I'm giving you the power. Show me that you can keep it. And that's what every man throughout the years have been doing, decades.
So who's giving who the power?
That can be argued. Although it all depends on the situation. If it's like the nurse, maybe the nurse is giving the man the power. Okay. Because that's what she really wants. She wants a man to take control. Or maybe he's taking it, maybe without her asking. Some men do that. Okay. Let's face it. You meet a bad chick, she's getting played. What's the first thing you do to her? You ignore her. You treat her like she ain't shit. Although she may be the shit at a bag of chips, but you treat her she's like the regular ass girls on the street. And then what happens? Boom, boom, boom. You guys get hooked up, whatever. Maybe you get married. Why would you?
Yeah, what G are you spitting here?
I'm not spitting a G. I'm trying to tell myself right now. What I'm saying is, maybe I get married. All right. So now you've married the baddest chick, the most wanted chick in the school. This is the woman that you ignored, right? The one you ignored, right? Okay. But you obviously got to put some kind of attention to her, right? Right. So now you've married her off, whatever. You can't go back to the other dudes who are fiending over her. You still got to maintain who you were. You know what I'm saying? Like, the dominant male never relinquished control at any given point. Wow. It's the truth. The dominant male could be like 25 years old in animal years, which is really old, and some young pup is like, yo, what's up? He's gonna kill him. That's it. Okay. That's just how it is.
We talking in terms of animals, all right, no doubt.
I mean, if we're talking dynamics, me personally, I could say that I as a person that was raised in an environment with really strong and powerful women, I mean, like, all my bosses up until this point in my career have been all women. I have no issue with that. But me as a person, I can be very competitive with people that are close to me. So if I start off a relationship and, she's making a little bit more than me, like 5 years in, she's like really killing the game right now, and I'm just not, it's going to bother me. Not for some, like, I think that I'm a less of a man just me as a person, I'm just like, what am I doing? I need to catch up. Like, I need to step my stuff up. Like, it has nothing to do with her as a person. She's not doing anything wrong. I'm not thinking any less of her or less of myself. It's just me, like, as a competitor, just like, I want to play this game too,
Okay, and somebody can take that wrongfully, in a relationship, we're supposed to help build each other. We're supposed to bring each other up. Right. But I believe even that has an expiration. Come on, we've been talking for 10 years.
That has an expiration.
It does, son. We get married, it's 10 years. You still working at Burger King as a manager, son? When you going back to school? Get this degree.
Right. So, but you talking about doing better. You talking about, okay. Mm-hmm. Listen, I understand what both of y'all are saying. Yep. But, for me, it really comes back to the language that you use, because we may sort of be speaking on similar things, but I feel like it's really important to define the language that you use when it comes to relationships. And that's why I go back to the partnership and the understanding and gender roles when necessary. And I feel like, yes, gender roles do serve a purpose, and in a certain way, that's what we're all talking about and we're all touching on. Right. And along those lines, let's talk about the other aspect of relationships, rejection, or non-relationship, not even getting into a relationship, how do we deal with rejection? This is, obviously this is universal for everybody, but for us, as guys, we have that, like our ego comes into play.
The crazy thing is women fear rejection more than men.
Really?
The crazy thing is women fear rejection more so than men.
I find that hard to believe.
It's the truth. Don't get me wrong. Every woman, by the time she hits puberty, whatever, gets attracted by every guy. She walks out the door, she get hit by a guy. She goes to school, she get hit by a guy. But still, it's the whole point of, I like this dude, and if he rejects me, that's my world. They get so emotional and dramatic. Whereas the guy is like, what do I need to say? What do I need to say? Rejection is all part of the game. And that's not part of the game, part of life. Whether it be for a job interview, for your next girl, for anything. So you need to be able to handle rejection altogether. You need to understand that, hey, I may get rejected, but I'm going to go just as hard, but I'm not going to accept it lightly. The dudes that don't get the girl are the ones that accept rejection or failure a lot easier than the guys that don't. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some dudes out there that's just a little creep, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, she said no 5 weeks ago. Why are you in front of her house? We're calling the cops.
So, at what point do you change your game then? You know what I'm saying? How do you know when you, obviously rejection is the biggest tell to when your game's not working. But like, how do you switch things up?
Okay. Well, first of all, you need to identify the kind of woman you're attracted to.
Okay.
Number one, once you understand the kind of woman that you're attracted to, you need to understand the approach. Every approach is different for a female. Maybe you talk about a movie, maybe you talk about a bar drink, maybe you talk about something else. If the way you're going about it is not working, let's just say after 3 to 5 women, you need to switch up. If none of them showed interest, none of them called back, not even like allowed you to buy them a drink. If you can't buy a woman even a glass of water, and I say glass, but it's really a bottle, then you need to switch up your whole game because it's something you're not doing. Maybe you're lingering around too long. Maybe your approach is different. Maybe you come off too different, like just a weird. So when that happens, you need to kind of look inside yourself and say, how do I look to these females? What are these females looking forward to? Once you know the kind of girl you're attracted to and what you're attracting.
Give me an example of what the wrong approach would be.
All right, so let's take business-minded women, right? Business-minded women are generally, I don't want to say cutthroat, but they're quick to the chase. Like, listen, I'm interested in you. What are you about? What can you offer me?
Right.
They may go around about depending on their profession, okay? A rejection would be like, hey, the way terminology on how you actually talk to a business-minded woman. All right, terminology would be like, hey, baby, what's up? I got this couple of things. I need little hustles. I got them. No business-minded woman wants to hear about hustles. She left that behind. Some women are not even exposed to hustle, the word hustle. They know about hustling when they're jogging throughout the park, 6 a.m. to get those abs. But, they don't know about no hustle. Maybe they want to hear about projects you're working on. Future investments that you want to work on as well. They don't want to hear about no hustle because that right there kind of say, you're no different from the guys I meet on the street that want to talk to me.
Okay. All right. So how does that speak to approaching women who seem unapproachable? Like, the highly confident women, the women, a woman who might be attractive and, you can't muster up the courage to sort of like just spit the appropriate whatever you need to spit to her. Like, what are some of your thoughts on, how do you approach a woman like that?
No woman is unapproachable unless she's old.
Unless she's what?
Unless she's old, and I mean senior citizen, married.
That just sounds like decency standards.
I'm just saying.
That's perspective, brother.
Old, married, okay, or straight up lesbian. She's proud of it.
Okay.
And she's like telling the world because then that's just a form of respect. You're respecting her choice.
Right.
Okay. That being said. Women that are unapproachable is because you're intimidated, hands down. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you may come and approach her with the fullest of confidence. You're like, yo, I got this. And then maybe something happens that throws you off game. Ironically, it's not necessarily how you start off, but how you finish. How can you bounce back from that? You can still turn it back onto her. Maybe with 1 or 2 tries, maybe you can do it one way, maybe you can do another way. It's all about how you address the situation. Because really, women are listening to you. They may not seem like it, but they're listening to what you're saying and what you're doing. And you got to find a way to be like, I got it. Make her more active. Make her respond. Get her to talk. Because if you're talking too much, that's it. She's not interested. She's just letting you talk because you bought her a drink. She's just being respectful. But once that Long Island iced tea is done, guess what? There's somebody else that's going to make a move on it.
That's disrespectful, goddammit.
I feel like the biggest thing is there isn't necessarily anything as unapproachable person, human, man, woman, or whatever. It's really, your perception. If you elevate them to a certain status in your mind, they're going to become something unattainable, and that's what makes it difficult for you. I feel like a lot of times, you approach a woman who you may have thought at some point maybe, unapproachable, and then you realize it wasn't that difficult. Like, that conversation is like, oh, she's not that bad. Like, it's really how you look at things. And, it goes back to the idea of rejection. Like, sometimes you just gotta be like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, there are millions of people, billions of people out there. Like, if she says no, that's all right.
Another thing I want to kind of point out, too, is there are two no's. There's the no that actually means no when it comes to women. Like, no, you're not buying me this drink. And there's the no that means, I want to see if I say no, what you're going to do. Women are like that.
That's a good point.
Women are like that. Women will say no just to see how far you go, just to see how you bounce back, just to kind of shake your mental. Because women are like that. Women are mental ninjas. They will shake you.
Women are mental ninjas. They will shake
mental
you.
ninjas. Hashtag mental ninjas.
Okay.
Definitely. All right. A great example of this would be like, I went on a date 3 months ago. I met this girl named Sherry. Nice little girl.
You gonna put her business out there, bro?
I just used the fake name.
Oh, okay, all right, cool. All right.
Good call. I'm about to say like, hey, yo, all right.
Shout out to Sherry.
Shout out to Sherry. Hashtag mental ninja. So Sherry, Sherry and I started talking, and one day I hit her up, and we were talking about candy, and I was like, hey, are you a bite size or you're a mouthful? And she said she's a bite size. Now, what woman in her right mind that was organized as she was would refer to us as bite size? So I took her on a date or whatever, and we had to go see the movie, whatever. And I'm like, hey, so I want to take you out to dinner so that we can get some. She goes, I'm not really hungry right now. As a matter of fact, I think I'm gonna go home and relax. I was like, is everything? She's like, no, everything is fine, but I just want to go home and relax. That right there set off my man alarm. Like, yo, the date wasn't the date was horrible. Okay, and I know I provide a good date. I know I, definitely keep up with some of the higher ups, and I can provide just better company. So now it was up to me to say, okay, well, let me know when you get home, and I probably would have never heard from her again, or to kind of delve in deeper. I was like, I asked her, what's wrong? What are you feeling? She's like, I'm just not in the mood. I said, you know what? Let's go to the pier. We go to the pier and walk around. Another thing about taking control of unattainable women is not necessarily giving them
control of unattainable women. Okay.
Yes. And you know what? Let me take that back. Let me take that back. How about approaching unattainable women?
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Because you do have to take control, because what they'll do
of the situation.
Yes.
Okay. Because they'll throw a wrench in your whole plan just to see how you react.
I'm helping you hold you up right here. I'm helping you.
And then at that point, when you thought you were in control, guess who's waving the key around like you ain't got nothing? Stay in your cage. That's how I feel.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, let's keep it sort of along a similar thread. Let's talk about black online dating. This is the last topic I want to touch on. Like, the statistics are just, they sound outrageous. And my man, Danny Ocean, is our resident stat man. What are some of the stats on specifically black relationships and black dating on online?
So we're going to link to this article in our show rundown notes. But they basically did a survey of of dating websites to basically see who responds to who. And according to statistics, in terms of women responding to men, so that's like a guy hits up a woman, how often do they respond? They broke it down by race. So there's 4 races: white, Asian, Latino, and black. Women responding to men, Asian, Latino, and white women overwhelmingly respond to white men the most.
Right.
And black women overwhelmingly respond to black men the most. Which is not...
That's what's up, man.
But it's not surprising to me. I mean, that's always kind of been the case, and I always found that interesting, because on the other side, I'm just like, why is that the case? And then these statistics kind of explain why that's the case, unfortunately. But I'll get that to later. Men responding to women. So this is men responding to women hitting them up. Asian men respond to Latino women the most, which I found the most interesting. don't know. I just found that interesting. What? Like,
They want some rice and beans. I mean,
all right. If you want me to be real, why I was thinking I found that interesting because when those two cuisines come together, that's like my favorite two foods in the world. Like, I just want to be in a household where that happens. Like,
I mean, we have these stats, but like, you know, and I've heard like, you know, this in different iterations. Like BuzzFeed had this, and then I read some stories last year. But my thing is like, is this even relevant? Like, this was only from like a few dating sites. This isn't, you know, all online dating. And then for the most part, is online dating like is it the majority? Like, is that how people date? You know, on a regular basis in real life? No, I mean it's not quite the norm. It's popular. But at the same time, I feel like it creates these misconceptions on all dating in general. And people conflate the two, and that's what people are doing, I feel, a lot of these situations. They're taking these statistics and they're applying them, and they're throwing these things on black women, I think, in particular. Because black women, again, the shortest end of the stick here, when maybe that's not the case. Like, I feel like this just feeds more into this narrative of, you know, black women can't do right. Black women can't find, you know, this, and they can't find that, and they're struggling, all this other stuff. And I don't really think that's what this is all about. Like, this is, you know, this is just a reflection of maybe a segment of a population online. But at the end of the day, are most people online dating? Like, are you online?
I'm actually online, and I was just thinking that it's a vicious cycle of hearsay. You understand? Because here it is. I'll be real with you. I'm online on one of the websites, and as of recently, I've got a lot
of... You on Tinder? You on Tinder?
I'm not gonna say
that's not even a dating website. You nasty, man. You real nasty. Like,
I know what's in my area. No. But I've definitely gotten. What they do is they view your profile and then they hit you up. I've gotten a lot of views, not just from black women, but also from Asian women. Though they may not have said anything.
Really?
I've gotten views. They've checked out my profile. Now, as far as Caucasian women goes, maybe once every 50 views. It's not that recent. But what I want to say is, when it comes to the hearsay is, I'm pretty sure we're all on Instagram, we're all on Facebook, or some kind of social media network where it's like, black women are like, if he doesn't tag you in the photo or status, you ain't real. There's another chick.
Nope.
If this, it's not real love. If he's not taking you around, and they keep promoting about, first of all these women on Instagram and those social media networks are single, and yet they supposedly know all the answers as to why they aren't single, but yet they're still single. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Shots fired.
It's the truth, because you go down your feed and it's like the most depressing. Oh my God, she's single again. She's still single. Like, you know, it's just like, what are you doing different? So then you add that on to statistics, and they believe in that even more.
Right.
So now it gets passed down, and women and people, not just women, start believing this more without any concrete evidence. Right. You know, I believe as human beings in a relationship, you get one excuse, one mess up as to a relationship, then you gotta learn. But it's all up to what you're willing to accept. If you know he was a cheating guy from before, he's gonna cheat on you again. You can't change him. Unless you send him to rehab, and even then, there's a possible chance
There's a rehab for cheaters?
Yes, there is. There's a rehab for everything, because you can make money off of it.
So tell me about the rehab for cheating.
Is Dr. Drew running?
I don't personally know about rehab.
Is that on VH1? That sounds like a good show.
I don't know personally about it.
Yeah.
You know,
you heard about it.
I heard about it from a friend of a friend.
Yeah, friend of a friend. Right.
All right, let's copyright this right now, so VH1 won't steal that show.
Right, but you know, there's a rehab, because if you think about it, cheating is about an addiction. What's the addiction? The thrill. You know, just to kind of do it. You know, it's adrenaline. So if there's a rehab for it, you know, it's out there definitely. Now, what happens is they dive into why you cheat. Maybe it's something that happened from when you were younger. Maybe you witnessed your dad cheating, your mom cheating. Maybe you've been hurt. I don't know how that translates into it, but you know what? I don't get paid to do this, so I don't need to understand. All I know is that there's a cheating rehab, as I call it.
You know what I think, Mayhem?
What's up?
I feel like you want to talk about cheating. we was talking about black online dating, and then all of a sudden we get into cheating and cheating rehab. I feel subconsciously we got some things you might want to talk about. We talk about it offline. Okay. We might talk about our next show. But we gonna wrap it up. That was our inaugural episode. We hope y'all enjoyed it. Once again, this is DC with my man Danny Ocean and Mayhem. All right, we'll holla at y'all real soon.
Stop cheating, people.